Produced in high definition by Fox 50. Viewer discretion is advised. A young pregnant mother is murdered in Durham. Tonight, the husband is talking. NC Wanted in high definition starts now.
Good evening. Welcome to NC Wanted. I'm Gerald Owens. Tonight we bring you the first of two episodes about high-profile cases involving murdered pregnant mothers, killed inside their homes or very close by. Let's begin with the 2005 unsolved murder of Janet Christiansen Abaroa. Unlike the cases of Michelle Young and Jenna Nielsen, the Abaroa case has received little national attention, but the murder is just as shocking and just as brutal. Janet was a former soccer standout who led Southern Virginia University to back-to-back national championships in 1999 and 2000. At the time of her death in 2005, she had graduated and was living in Durham with her husband Raven and their young son Caden.
My wife is not breathing. Okay, you're going to have to calm down, okay? What's the address? 2606 Ferrand Drive. 2606 Ferrand Drive. Okay, now tell me what's wrong. She's been shot or something. There's blood She's everywhere. Been shot?
I knew after 3 weeks of dating her that I wanted to marry her. I just knew, I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life pleasing her, and I guess I spent the rest of her life.
It's early 2005. After 5 years of marriage, Raven and Janet Abaroa live in a modest home on Farron Drive in West Durham. They're not wealthy, but are rich in the human treasures of a young family, a new baby, and good friends. Then comes that clear, sunny Tuesday in spring, April 26, 2005.
Raven returned home around 11:45. After he got home, he went upstairs. He discovered Janet. He called 911.
Tell me exactly what you came into.
I came in to my house. I came upstairs. The lights were off. The door was cracked open. I thought I left it open. My baby's crying right now.
How old's your baby?
He's like 6 months old.
When we got there, he said he didn't know if anybody else was in the home, and officers secured the residence.
Devastated, Janet's family and friends try to make sense of the murder, wondering who could kill her and why.
It was in her own home. She wasn't
where she shouldn't be.
She wasn't right where she shouldn't be. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't careless. She was leading a good life.
Why would somebody enter this quiet home in a quiet neighborhood? Why would somebody harm someone so innocent, so kind as Janet, as my wife? And what are the motives?
Throughout their relationship, Janet and Raven Abaroa appeared to be an ideal match. Both skilled athletes who share the Mormon faith. Throughout 2004, they work at a soccer and lacrosse company in Hillsboro called Eurosport. Raven is a sales manager. Janet works in the accounting department.
Real sweet girl, devoted, hard worker, never missed work. Even when she was sick, she hardly ever missed work.
She loved him.
Yeah, she really did.
It was like a family,
right.
Family company. She kept saying that.
The Abaroas aren't having the same success at home as they are at work. Tension in their marriage results in a separation. Raven moves out in the summer of 2004.
She'd come to work crying some mornings, but she wouldn't talk about it at that time, and I didn't ask because I knew she was a private person. I just asked her. I asked her what was wrong, and she said just they were having problems and they were trying to work things out.
And as timing would have it, Janet soon realizes she's pregnant.
she started talking to me, and she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, she said, well, me and Raven are separated. He left. He walked out and left her.
Based off of some stuff that had happened in our lives, you know, we weren't sure where her and I sat in our relationship.
Raven didn't know she was pregnant until Janet was about probably 5 months pregnant. Finally, she had to tell him because she was showing.
She was thinking about giving her baby up for adoption. In order for her child to be raised by two parents, she decided to try to work it out with him.
There's a lot of personal revelation that happened after that, and I knew that I needed to straighten my life out a little bit.
Later in the year, Raven moves back in with Janet, and the couple tries to reconcile their relationship. Their son, Caden, is born in October of 2004.
When we had actually gotten back together when we were pregnant with Caden, we didn't go to church all the time. We really wanted to focus more on each other.
A few months passed, leading to the spring of 2005 and eventually April 26th. Raven characterizes that Tuesday as relatively normal. Janet picks up Caden from daycare. That night, Raven and Janet entertain a guest from their church. When the guest leaves, Janet puts Caden to bed.
Okay.
Raven says he recalls Janet then sitting down to fold laundry, then watch her favorite TV show. When she finishes, Raven says he helps her put away clothes in Caden's room.
We looked at Caden sleeping, made sure everything was good with him, and put our arms around each other and you know, said, I really love you, and you know, we have a beautiful child here.
By this time, it's just past 8 p.m. Raven says he leaves for his soccer game in Morrisville.
She said, you got too much homework, Raven. You shouldn't go to your soccer game tonight. And so she gave me a kiss, you know, and I left, and that was it. The last time that
According to investigators, Raven arrives at the Morrisville Indoor Sports Complex just in time for a quick warm-up before his 9 p.m. game. Raven says he returns home from the game just before midnight.
I got home and, you know, go upstairs. I'd always go in and give Caden a kiss and just feel his warm little body. And, you know, that's when I found out that something wasn't wrong and Janet died that night. I wasn't there.
I got a call at 5:30 in the morning from Raven, who was at the time quite incoherent. I mean, I didn't understand. He was breaking up and sobbing on the phone, and I didn't understand what he was trying to tell me.
I thought it was Janet. I said, Janet, stop crying, I can't understand you. And he said, it's Raven, she's gone.
When we initially found out that she was dead, he said that she had committed suicide with a gun.
By gun? He said by gun.
Yeah, by gun, yeah.
So when I was on the phone, I just got angry when he said that, and I said, I want this investigated, you know. And he said, oh, it is. It's being taken care of.
When Janet misses work the next morning, her friend drives to the house to check on her.
And I walked up to the yellow tape, and I was going to go under the tape, and this police officer, of course, stopped me, asked me who I was. And then I said under my breath, I'm like, why did he have to kill her? And he asked me it. So I told him what I thought. It was rape. And it's just bad.
The autopsy report eventually confirms that Janet was stabbed twice, once in the chest and once in the neck, causing rapid blood loss. A possible defense wound is discovered on her right hand.
Janet was killed with some type of edged weapon.
Investigators say they never recovered the murder weapon, but Raven did report items missing, including his laptop computer.
Was it somebody who was trying to get back at me? Was it someone who was breaking into my home because of something I did? If that's the case, how do you live with yourself?
There were very few items taken, and the items that were taken weren't typical of what you'd see in a burglary. There was one thing to note, that there was a large wedding ring and in the entrance that was left, and that's typically something you'd see taken in a burglary. I feel, looking at the evidence that's been presented in this case, that Janet was killed by somebody that knew her.
I'm Raven.
And I'm Janet.
And we're glad to be here today. We wish you the best and the warmest feelings this holiday season. Janet, what would you like to say?
I would like to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And a happy, happy New Year. Yes, that's right. Not only do I wear my mesh trucker hat, I belong to a car club.
See the collar up, too?
See the collar up? I fit right in with all the Carolinians, as we say down south. I got myself a buck knife, too, right here in my pocket, in case you ever come across a deer, you decide you want to take some of it home. That's my new knife. Got it for Christmas. Thank you. Bought it myself. My dad would be very proud. I like to collect knives. Janet got some new clothes that she's wearing right now, and obviously we have, whoa, hey, nice.
It's April of 2005. Raven Abaroa has moved back in with his estranged wife, Janet. The couple has a baby and are trying to repair their marriage.
I think she wanted to just have it work out between her and Raven so that they could have a happy family and raise Caden together.
During their 5 years of marriage, the relationship has survived many challenges, including financial troubles and a brief separation. But on April 26, 2005, the Abaroa family is tragically torn apart once and for all. That night, Raven says he returns home from a soccer game to find his wife's body.
He returned around 11:45. He entered the house, went upstairs, discovered his wife, and then called 911. At first he stated she had been shot, and then later it was discovered she was stabbed.
I couldn't remember, what I needed to do, how I needed to help her. I couldn't, they say your life flashes before your eyes, and that's what happened. Like the moment that all of a sudden, this isn't real. This isn't happening to me.
But those who knew Janet say their happy appearance was an illusion. They had noticed changes in her behavior and described Raven as controlling.
He opened her mail, he read her emails, he screened her phone calls. She had to call some of her friends from payphones. She just seemed maybe kind of helpless.
He pretty much made her friends for her.
Raven describes it differently.
Some people have painted her as maybe somebody who's, not able to speak for herself or raise her voice, but she definitely had an opinion. And there's been some times in our relationship that, she's definitely, wore the pants and is outgoing and is, loud of a voice as I have. I was very submissive to her because I did want to please her, and I wanted to, be the best I could be for her because I knew that as someone as special as her, she deserved that.
Beyond what others describe as Raven's controlling nature, further stress may have been caused by his being fired from Eurosport in January of 2005. He eventually pleaded guilty to 5 counts of embezzlement, admitting he sold thousands of dollars worth of shoes and pocketed the money to cover his personal debts. And after Janet's murder, investigators get wind of Raven's alleged affairs.
We spoke to some people that stated he wasn't very well liked.
I came in at management and I didn't work my way up. I just came in management, and so, you know, people talked bad about us. I had a lot of arrogance. I wouldn't back down to people threatening me.
There were rumors of infidelities, and all that's certainly part of the investigation.
I was trying to work to be a better husband because of some shortcomings and mistakes I'd made in my life. And I was constantly entertaining church guests and having people over, and it was making life difficult for Janet. I didn't mean to have religion come in the way of our relationship. I was just trying to make up for my own faults by, you know, working harder.
As is customary in murder cases, investigators approach the spouse to take a polygraph. Raven agrees at first, but says his friends and family advised him not to.
I said, I'll be available for any type of questioning, but you don't need a polygraph from me. You may think you do, but you don't need one from me because I have nothing to hide. Every time that they've, you know, needed to meet with me for additional information over these last couple years, I've taken time out of my day.
Raven's provided limited cooperation, but he hasn't fully cooperated with all the requests made by this office.
The bottom line is that I wasn't involved with the death of my wife, that I would do anything in the world to keep her here with me, and that's just, you know, that's something that I know, it's something that Janet knows, and that's something that I think that people who truly know Janet, truly know me, can understand and appreciate.
To this day, one major detail compounds the outrage over Janet's murder. While she didn't know it, Janet was pregnant with their second child at the time of her death. So some people believe this is a case of double murder.
It's bad enough to lose your daughter, but a grandchild too.
Today, Janet's unborn child would be nearly 2 years old, while her son Caden, once the light of her life, is now 3.
You know, it's harder on me than it is on him, but he definitely is a smart kid and sees other moms and wants to know where's his mom.
Something such as a murder being so sudden, it's just like somebody ripped your insides out of you. It just on the spur of the moment.
Soon after the murder, Raven takes Caden and moves to Utah, leaving behind a trail of suspicion. What remains is the memory of a once happy couple who seemed made for each other. Both former standout soccer players committed to their Mormon beliefs.
There certainly is a lot of pressure in our religion to marry someone of your faith and to continue to practice the principles and the teachings of the faith. So when I met Janet, it was just amazing that, you know, she had I guess just like the full package. You know, she was beautiful, attractive, she was comforting.
Remembering Janet, her family now turns to their faith for comfort.
I think the religion that we have has kept us going strong because we know that we'll get to see her again someday.
There's one miracle that Heavenly Father knows that I would want. It would be for my wife to be safe. I would gladly take the place of my wife so that she could be here to raise her son, to be with her family. And I wasn't given that choice.
We should point out that in the months before Janet's murder, Raven and Janet took out $500,000 life insurance policies on each other. The large payout to Raven remains on hold pending the outcome of the murder investigation. In the meantime, Janet's family and friends hope a reward up to $5,000 will encourage someone with information to come forward.
Coming up, 2 star lawyers from Durham's Michael Peterson case talk murders where the person of interest is a spouse. More NC Wanted is straight ahead.
The Though investigators have stopped short of calling Raven a suspect, it's common for them to look at people with close ties to the victim. But this can become a sensitive and complex legal matter for everyone involved. To get some insight, we spoke with the lead defense attorney and assistant prosecutor in the highly publicized Michael Peterson case.
Whenever a spouse is murdered under suspicious circumstances, one of the first people that the police are going to look at is the other spouse. That's just the way it works, and partly it's because in many of those situations, it is the spouse who's the person who did the crime.
It happens quite frequently. A woman turns up dead and her husband is under a microscope.
Anybody is free to remain silent and to say that they won't talk to the police. Oftentimes the police find that to be suspicious.
You know, for the police, the assertion of your privilege not to speak with them is tantamount to a confession. And as much as I try to tell them, listen, my client very much would like to talk with you, but I don't feel like I'm ready to let the client talk with you because I want to make sure that I understand the facts before he or she does that. That never, I think, really satisfies the police.
As a prosecutor, it does throw up a red flag if a spouse does not want to be cooperative with the police. It looks suspicious. You would think that if your spouse was murdered, that the person being questioned would want to cooperate and want to get to the bottom of it.
And they assume that the client isn't talking because he or she has something to hide.
As a prosecutor, you want to have as much information as possible. You want to have as many statements as possible.
A suspect's refusal to cooperate with police may heighten suspicion, but rarely helps prosecutors for one reason. Information about a defendant's cooperation is inadmissible in court.
If a prosecutor comments on a defendant's silence when in police custody, it would be an automatic mistrial. And the prosecutor would be in trouble with the judge because it is a rule that cannot be broken.
Stay with us. We'll be right back to recap tonight's unsolved murder. Welcome back to NC Wanted. Let's review tonight's case. She was a standout college athlete who was in the early stages of family life and motherhood. On Tuesday, April 26, 2005, Janet Abaroa was stabbed to death inside her home on Farron Drive in West Durham. Her 6-month-old son was found unharmed in the next room. And though she didn't know it, the autopsy revealed Janet was pregnant with her second child at the time of her murder. There is a reward up to $5,000 for information leading to an arrest. If you know something about the unsolved murder of Janet Abaroa, call us toll-free at 1-866-43-WANTED. That's 1-866-439-2683. Or go to ncwanted.com and click Report a Tip. You don't have to reveal your identity. Join us next week as we bring you more unsolved cases in our area and across the state. Remember, together we can fight to protect the quality of life we hold dear in North Carolina. I'm Gerald Owens. Good night.